At first glance, Lori Vallow was the picture of a loving mother, blonde, smiling, well-dressed, and deeply involved in her children's lives. Her youngest, JJ, a bright-eyed boy with autism, was often seen beaming in home videos. Her teenage daughter, Tylee, vibrant and headstrong, seemed inseparable from her mum. To neighbors, friends, even extended family, Lori appeared to be a devoted mother, a faithful wife, and a woman guided by her faith. But beneath that surface, a chilling reality was unfolding. Welcome to the crime documentary. In 2019, everything began to unravel. 2 children vanished, a string of deaths followed, and at the center of it all, a doomsday prophecy, a secretive relationship, and a couple whose actions would leave a trail of devastation and disbelief. This is the story of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, the so-called Doomsday couple. What made this case so chilling wasn't just the crimes, it was the why. Because this wasn't a simple case of greed or anger, it was driven by religious delusion, apocalyptic fantasies, and the belief that some people, even children, were dark spirits that had to be eliminated. Lori Vallow was born in 1973 in San Bernardino, California. By all accounts, she had a normal upbringing. She was popular, outgoing, and raised in a devout Mormon household. She married young and would go on to have 5 marriages in total. Her third child, Tylee, was born in 2002. Later, she and her 4th husband, Charles Vallow, adopted JJ, Charles's grandnephew, who was born with special needs. They looked like a blended, happy family. But as the years went on, cracks began to appear. Lori became increasingly obsessed with religion, specifically fringe ideas rooted in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. She devoured books about near-death experiences, spiritual warfare, and end-times prophecy. And one day, she stumbled upon the writings of a man named Chad Daybell. Who is Chad Daybell? Chad Daybell seemed, on paper, like a soft-spoken religious author, a father of 5, a man devoted to his wife Tammy, a school librarian. He had worked as a cemetery sexton. He wrote novels inspired by his apocalyptic visions and claimed to have had multiple near-death experiences. But Chad's writings weren't just harmless fiction. They promoted a version of Mormon theology distorted by extremist ideas. Visions of the end of the world, chosen warriors, and zombies. People who were believed to be possessed and spiritually dead. In his inner circle, Chad was seen as a prophet. And when he met Lori, it was a match made not in heaven, but in a deeply dangerous delusion. Lori and Chad met in October 2018 at a religious conference in St. George, Utah. Chad was the featured speaker. Lori approached him after his talk. From that moment, they became obsessed with each other. They began secretly texting, and soon, Chad told Lori that she was a goddess, a leader chosen to help prepare 144,000 people for the second coming. He claimed they had been married in a past life. Lori believed him, and together they crafted a spiritual framework where they could justify anything, even murder. As their relationship deepened, so did the darkness. They created an entire belief system, labeling people as light or dark. They believed dark spirits could possess people's bodies and turn them into zombies. In Chad and Lori's eyes, once someone became a zombie, their soul had already died. And killing their body, that wasn't murder. It was liberation. They began assigning light/dark ratings to everyone in their lives, including Lori's children. Tylee and JJ would eventually be labeled dark. By mid-2019, things were spiraling. Lori's husband, Charles Vallow, had discovered Chad and Lori's relationship. He confronted her. She told him he was possessed. Charles feared for his life. He filed for divorce and told authorities Lori needed psychiatric help. No one listened. In July 2019, Charles was shot dead by Lori's brother, Alex Cox, who claimed it was self-defense. The case was closed quickly. No charges filed. Within weeks, Lori moved to Idaho to be closer to Chad. She brought Tylee and JJ with her. They would never be seen alive again. By the time anyone realized what was happening, it was already too late. 2 children missing, multiple deaths, and a chilling trail of spiritual manipulation and twisted love. But soon, Lori and Chad would find themselves under intense scrutiny, and their lies were about to crumble. From the outside, Lori Vallow appeared to be the picture of suburban motherhood. A radiant smile, an active church life, and a blended family of children she seemed to adore. But beneath the glossy Instagram filters and pageant queen charm, something much darker stirred. After marrying her 4th husband, Charles Vallow, Lori had immersed herself in religious teachings with increasing obsession. It wasn't just faith anymore. Lori began claiming visions. She believed she was chosen by God for a special purpose, and that purpose would soon consume her. Charles, once her biggest supporter, grew increasingly alarmed. He tried to get Lori mental health help. He warned family members and even law enforcement, but Lori waved it off. Her beliefs grew darker, speaking of zombies, spiritual portals, and divine judgment. By 2019, Charles had filed for divorce. He claimed Lori threatened to kill him. He was scared for his life. And soon, his fears would become chillingly prophetic. On July 11, 2019, Charles Vallow was shot and killed by Lori's brother, Alex Cox, in what was claimed to be self-defense. Alex told police Charles attacked him, but inconsistencies in the story raised red flags. Lori was seen laughing that day. She took JJ to school just hours later as if nothing had happened. Charles's family was stunned, and so was the public when no charges were filed. With Charles out of the way, Lori's descent accelerated. She moved her children to Idaho to be near Chad Daybell, a Doomsday author, a self-proclaimed prophet. Chad was married to Daybell, a school librarian and mother of 5. But his secret connection with Lori soon became more than spiritual, and together they would embark on a path of destruction. On October 19, 2019, Chad Daybell's wife Tammy died suddenly in her sleep. At first it was ruled natural causes. No autopsy was conducted. But just 2 weeks later, Chad married Lori in a beach ceremony in Hawaii. Friends and family were shocked. Tammy had shown no signs of illness. Her death was abrupt and suspicious. And Lori's children, Tylee and JJ, nowhere to be seen. Questions mounted. Police in Idaho, Arizona, and Utah began comparing notes. Something terrible was unfolding. When investigators finally exhumed Tammy's body months later, they found clear signs of asphyxiation. It was no accident. Tammy Daybell had been murdered. By the end of 2019, the question on everyone's mind was simple. Where were Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow? Lori and Chad, now married, refused to answer. They told no one where the kids were. They danced on Hawaiian beaches. They smiled for cameras. But behind the scenes, a multi-state investigation was building. Lori was served with a court order to produce her children. She defied it. The countdown to uncover the truth had begun. On June 9, 2020, authorities executed a search warrant at Chad Daybell's Idaho property. What they found would haunt investigators for years. Buried in shallow graves were the remains of JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan. Tylee's body had been dismembered and burned. JJ was wrapped in plastic and bound with duct tape. The world recoiled in horror. The children had been dead for months, even as their mother danced in wedding dresses and evaded accountability. Lori and Chad were arrested. Their lies had finally caught up with them. The trials of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell became must-watch television. Witness after witness painted a picture of delusion, greed, and religious extremism gone violent. Laurie claimed she was doing God's work. Chad insisted he was a visionary. But the evidence was overwhelming. Laurie was found guilty of murder and conspiracy in 2023. Chad's trial loomed next. The jury saw through their visions, through their lies. Justice finally had come. The story of Laurie Vallow and Chad Daybell is one of tragic loss, of children caught in the delusions of adults. But it's also a story of justice. Laurie's surviving family members continue to grieve. The nation reflects on how religious extremism and unchecked beliefs can turn deadly. And as Chad awaits his fate, one question remains: how many others like them walk among us? In memory of J.J. Vallow and Tylee Ryan, may their story never be forgotten. Like and subscribe for more real crime stories. Turn on notifications because the next case might be even darker.